Good morning and welcome. This is Pastor Lucy Painter with your daily insight. And yesterday we started a wonderful topic about favor, and we said we are dealing with favor according to the English dictionary or definition that says favor means acceptance, it means approval, support, goodwill, above and beyond, kindness, preference, all this. And we said it is available to us as believers, and we can see it in many Bible characters, and we say that it is there for us, and there are things we can do to attract this favor. And so yesterday we started with keys to attract God's favor, and we said that one of the keys to attract God's favor is love God, and another key we learned yesterday is to love people. And so today I want us to continue with key number 3, and possibly we will go to key number 4. So key number 3 is hate what God hates. Hate what God hates. And I was meditating about this key. I thought about how sometimes you may not be able to see eye to eye with some people, but if you have a common enemy, you are able to put aside your differences and join forces and fight that one enemy. You may have your differences, but if you have one common enemy, you put aside your differences, you fight that one enemy because you have found a common ground. And as you make a stand for God and His causes, His favor is released upon you. When John was in the island of Patmos and he was writing the letters to the 7 churches, one of the churches he wrote to, the letters included commendation and rebuke. And one of the letters, the church of Ephesus received a rebuke but also a commendation. In Revelation chapter 2, they were told about this. They said, but you have this in your favor. You hate the practices of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. Inasmuch as they had received a rebuke earlier, they had one thing in their favor. They had tried to stand against the practices of the Nicolaitans. They knew that God hates their practices, and so they hated what God hated. And because they made a stand for God and His causes, His favor was upon them. And as we go down in chapter 2, we realize what are the teachings or the practices of the Nicolaitans. If we go all the way down to verse 11, we see that it's verse 14. It says, nevertheless, I have a few things against you. Now this is another church that was not able to stand against the practices of the Nicolaitans, so the Lord was against them. They said, nevertheless, I have a few things against you. There are some among you who hold to the teachings of Balaam, who taught Balak to entice the Israelites to sin, so that they ate food sacrificed to idols and committed sexual immorality. Remember when Balaam called Balak to curse the people, and he could not be able to curse the people of God. And when he was unable to curse the people of God, he advised Balaam, and he told him, you know what, as long as these people are in a good relationship with their God, there is no way you're going to conquer them. The only way you can do this is by making sure that you sever or destroy the relationship they have with God. So entice the Israelites to sin, because sin is going to separate them from their God. Entice them with the women, so that they are going to eat the food that is sacrificed to idols. Entice them to commit sexual immorality. And so in the book of Revelation, there is a revelation about the Nicolaitans and what they do. The same way that the Balaam entice the children of Israel, it is the same doctrine that the Nicolaitans had. And we find that one church receives favor because it hates the things that God hates, but there is another church that does not receive favor, that receives a rebuke, but because it does not have the strength to withstand and hate the things that God hates. So it says in verse 15, likewise, you also have those who hold to the teachings of the Nicolaitans. So I want to show you in the Old Testament how one person received favor because he hated what God hates. If we go to the scenario that the Lord is referring to here in the Old Testament, in the book of Numbers, chapter 25, after Balak advised Balaam, he went ahead and he enticed the men, and the men started committing sexual immorality, and because of that, the anger of God was kindled, and there was a plague, and many people died, and the Lord wanted to really destroy the children of Israel. But the Bible says when Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, took a spear in his hand, and followed the Israelite into the tent. So this is a time when Moses has called out the children of Israel. They are in the assembly and they want to talk about the plague and everything that is happening. But because these people have become so enticed and they have become so immoral, there is a guy by the name Zimri who goes ahead and gets a Midianite woman and brings the woman in before the whole congregation as if nothing is going on. He brings the woman into his tent. And this guy by the name Phinehas, who is a priest, he gets so angry when he sees this. And he takes a spear in his hand and follows the Israelite into his tent. He drove the spear into both of them, right through the Israelites' men and into the woman's stomach. And then see what happens. The plague against the Israelite was stopped, but those who had died in the plague numbered 24,000. Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, has turned my anger away from the Israelites, since he was as zealous for my honor among them as I am. I did not put an end to them in my zeal. Therefore, tell him, I am making my covenant of peace with him. He and his descendant will have a covenant of a lasting priesthood, because he was zealous for the honor of his God and made atonement for the Israelites. Can you see this? I know when we read some of these stories, sometimes it's so scary to see the way things were done in those days and how justice was carried out. But we see that Phinehas was so zealous for God. He stood, he took a stand, he hated what God hates, and that gave him favor. So one key to gaining favor is to make a stand for God and his causes. You cannot be a man pleaser and a God pleaser at the same time. You have to make a stand for God and his causes, and by doing that, his favor is released upon you. By doing this, whatever Phinehas did, the plague was stopped. There were many other people who would have died, but he decided in the midst of the assembly, he's not gonna just stand there and do nothing. He stood and did something, and because of doing something, favor was released not only upon him but also on his descendant. Because of time, usually we do this between 5 to 10 minutes. Allow me to just give you only this one key today. We will do the next one tomorrow, and may God bless you. This is Pastor Lucy Painter with your daily insight, and this is Favor Day 2. Shalom.